Have you ever been to twitter.com? Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I have too. And every once in a while I'm scrolling through twitter.com, I'll come across something someone says. I'll come across a post, a tweet, so to speak. And all I could do is think to myself, how did we get here? How did we arrive in this moment in time where you are posting this? How did your life go? What events preceded this that we ended up in this situation? How did we get here? And it gets me thinking about this hypothetical kid. Let's call him Connor. And Connor, he went to school. He was a scrawny kid. He was always last pick for sports. He was kind of nerdy. He had kind of nerdy interests. So he got picked on. He got bullied. And so what Connor would do to deal with his situation is he would come home from school. He would strap off his backpack, right? He'll take off the straps of his backpack, lay it on the floor, and he'll prance up to his room, fire up his PC, and load up StarCraft. And he kept this a secret. He did not tell anyone. How could he? If he told the kids at school he played StarCraft, he would get bullied even more, and he didn't want that. He didn't want to feel powerless. But Connor had yet another hidden secret. Oh yes, he had a secret within a secret. Not only did Connor play StarCraft, Connor also cheated in StarCraft. And the reason why Connor cheated in StarCraft is he kind of wanted to play the Uno reverse card, whereas he would get bullied in school, he wanted to be the bully. Whereas he felt powerless at school, he wanted to feel a sense of power. Take that, nerds. Get wrecked, noobs. And so he cheated StarCraft. And the interesting thing about the situation is there's quite a few Connors in the world, turns out, because the statistic is about 1 out of every 3 people who play online PC games have cheated. That's the statistic. And those are just people who've admitted to it. And so, are there just that many people in the world? Is humanity so depraved that so many people, 1 out of 3 people, just want to see the world burn? They just want to see it burn? In comes Eddie. Eddie is Connor's younger brother, right? Connor, he grew up. He finished high school. He's 28, 29, 30 even. And he has a much younger brother named named Eddie. Eddie's in high school. And Eddie's a little bit different than Connor, right? Eddie doesn't try to hide the fact that he plays Fortnite. In fact, he flaunts it. He goes to school and all the kids ask him, "Yo, Eddie, what's your KD in Fortnite?" And he's like, "I got a 19 KD." And everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're so cool. How could you have a 19 KD?" Because when I was in school, when a lot of us were in school, it wasn't cool to play video games. It was stigmatized, it was taboo. If you played World of Warcraft or something, that's something you kind of kept to yourself most of the time. Not so nowadays, you go to school, everyone's a gamer, it's okay, it's normal. And so Eddie feels like he's cool. And not only that, Eddie dreams that one day he will be like those esports players that he sees on Twitch TV who make not only a living, but a killing playing these games. He wants to be like Ninja. And how else would he be like Ninja if he didn't have a 19 KD? And how else would he have a 19 KD if he didn't cheat? And so we got our Connors, we got our Eddies, but we also have another issue here. I live in the good old US of A, right? I live in the West. But there are some countries out there where it's culturally acceptable to do whatever it takes to win. It doesn't matter how you win. It doesn't matter who you had to step on. It doesn't matter what you had to do. If you're a winner, you're a winner. And if you're a loser, you're a loser. If you bring home the bacon, you're cool. If you don't, you suck. And so there are a lot of cultures where cheating isn't even something that people feel guilty about doing because, well, I just want to win. Not to mention, in these cultures, they know that everyone else is cheating too, so they might as well. Why would I be at a disadvantage if everyone else is doing it? And this kind of creates a situation where the problem continues to get worse and worse and worse. And you also have the situation where some people, they engage in RMT, real money trading, where maybe they live in a third world country, maybe they don't, it doesn't matter, and they want to make some money. maybe for a living, maybe just on the side. And so they play games like Escape from Tarkov that has items, or they play Dark and Darker that has items, and they cheat so they can farm items so they could sell items, right? Some of these people might not even like cheating, but they need to pay the bills. They need to put food on the table. And it gets way worse. It's way worse now than it used to be. And that's because cheats have become so sophisticated. Some of these aimbots are so advanced now that it is doing a really good job. The aimbot is doing a really good job at mimicking human movement. So it will act as if, it was wobbling around, like it's trying to aim, and then it hits the shot. Whereas back in the day, aimbots would just be like zoop, zoop, just like a laser. And some of these cheats are running on a second computer. They're running on AI, they're running on a second computer. And so the primary computer can't really detect them. The anti-cheat on the primary computer that the game is being played on can't really detect it. So you have that situation as well. And, it's just a massive shit show. It's a problem. So what's the solution? Well, some people have suggested that what we can do is we can do what the online game Rust, this PvP online game named Rust, is doing. And what they're doing in Rust is they're hosting community-driven servers where you and I can spend some money and get an AWS server, and we can spin up our own Rust server, and it'll show up inside of the Rust game, and people can select it, and they could play our community server. Because if we have community servers, then we could have our own admins, we could have our own moderators, and so we could try to detect cheaters. But as I just mentioned, it's becoming harder and harder and harder to even detect the cheaters. And not only that, in Rust, because we have an example of this playing out, it's called Rust. In Rust, there's still a ton of cheaters. Now, why is that? Besides the fact that they're much harder to detect now, you're usually not getting paid to moderate a Rust server. You're already paying money. You're volunteering to pay money to spin up the server, and you're not getting paid for any of it. Now, do we expect these people to sit there for 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day? Watching, moderating, trying to see if there's any suspicious kills, if there's any suspicious activity? That's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask of people to do. And so we still have a ton of rampant cheating, even in Rust, right? And it's so insidious in online games, especially, FPS and MOBAs. Take the FPS genre, for example. If you assume that there are no cheaters in your lobby and you get shot, you now have the opportunity to think to yourself, how could I have improved? How could I have played that better? Maybe I shouldn't have peeked. Maybe I shouldn't have scoped in right there. But if there is a chance that there's a cheater in your game, which, there's a high probability that there's a cheater in almost all of these matches online now, especially on PC, there's always that thought in the back of your mind. What if it was a cheater? And if it was a cheater, then you are deprived of the opportunity of thinking to yourself, well, how could I have improved? Because maybe it was a situation where there's nothing you could have done, because maybe they had wall hacks, maybe they had, they could shoot through walls, whatever it might be. Fly hacks, I don't know. Doesn't matter. And what makes it such a problem, right, is if you have 1 out of 3 people who have cheated in an online game on average. You have a game like Dota 2, where it's about 12% cheaters, according to some, studies. You have something like CSGO, where it's about 1 out of every 10. You have Tarkov, where it's up to 60%. If you have 10 people, 20 people, if it's like a battle royale, up to 100 people in a lobby, in a match, and you calculate that probability, if it's like 1 out of every 3 or 1 out of 10, the chances that there's at least one cheater in your lobby is extraordinarily high. Oftentimes it's going to be more than one. So the integrity of all these games has kind of gone down the drain, unfortunately. Now, there is one company that is kind of on top of things, and that's Riot. And I'm kind of taking them at their word here, because Riot publishes some dev blogs, and on these dev blogs, they say that both in League of Legends and Valorant, we have less than 1% cheaters. And, you could choose to believe them or not. But it seems to me that, with an anti-cheat as sophisticated and as intrusive on your privacy as Riot Vanguard, which actually detects every single process running on your PC and is able to monitor every single process on your PC, that there aren't as many cheaters in that game. But here's the problem, right? I like CSGO more than Valorant. Valorant's an okay game. It's decent, but I like CSGO more. League of Legends is cool, but I like Dota 2 more. So now, me as the consumer, if I want to engage in online multiplayer gaming whatsoever, I'm kind of forced to play products that I'd prefer not to play. I'd prefer other things because it's literally the only company. There might be some others that I don't know of, but from the ones that I've researched, it's really Riot with League of Legends and Valorant that has the least amount of cheating. Hashtag not sponsored. I'm not sponsored, right? And it just seems to be the case. That's just the way it is. Now, there's a silver lining in all of this. I love multiplayer games. I really do. They're probably my favorite genre. But considering the climate, considering the situation, I found myself finally going through my single player backlog. And I've been having a good time doing that. It sucks, but it is what it is. And that's all I had to say for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.